Florida State, it's 400 rushing yards. You know, that's a pretty incredible stat, but Mark, we can't get away from it. They're one dimensional, and their game against Duchesne, dress rehearsal against us. Obviously, they would be even more one dimensional against an SEC opponent, which plays into LSU's favor if DBU shows up when the RPO play action is going down, when they're ready to try and isolate a safety or linebacker and take advantage, as many offenses have before over the past 2 years against us. UCLA, I think it was Greg Dulcich, their tight end, just absolutely destroyed us. That one name that comes to mind. But if LSU can take the ball away early and add to Jordan Travis's 21 career picks, it will be advantage LSU with Florida State chasing the game while also running the clock. Jordan Travis, I think he throws a pick on 16.7 passes, every 16.7 pass attempts. But if LSU, if they can't stop the run, if they can't get off the field on third down, if they can't contain Jordan Travis or those three running backs who put up 100 yards each this last game, it could be a long night for LSU's defense, and it could negate the pass rush up front, the defensive line, if we can't get those easy stops. But this is against Duchesne. I mean, so it's kind of hard to really know if Florida State, because I swear UCLA played a really, I think they played like Hawaii, or who did UCLA play last year? They played someone that was really,
Hawaii.
Yeah, it was Hawaii. Yeah, they played a really weaker team and beat up on them, and everyone kind of thought the same thing going into that game. And LSU had their pants pulled down on national television. Will happen again, Mark? I'm not sure, because it's a different scenario, completely different teams, different head coach, not as many distractions. Remember, LSU were coming off of Hurricane Laura, had just happened in right in the hometown, in the home state. Very, very dangerous, deadly, devastating hurricane. They were practicing at Energy Stadium in Houston. And that was where Jared Small, the team leader, tore his ACL. There was all these distractions going down with Coach O's girlfriends coming in and out of the Rose Bowl. Then they have to fly completely across the country to the Rose Bowl, face UCLA. They were already the roster was completely decimated with injuries already walking into week one. This is a far better conditioned LSU team. Not as many injuries. We got Malik Neighbors, who's banged up a bit. There's a few other, Chris Hilton's come back from an injury. Jack Besh has just come back from an injury. But really, there's not many big-time injuries like last year for LSU. So completely different scenario, completely different head coach, far better preparation. But we got to see it, Mark. It's going to be a very interesting game in the Superdome.
So just to clear up on Jordan Travis, 6 picks last year, 194 attempts. Not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, but then again, he's 0-2 against, Florida. That was the only 2 appearances he had against SEC competition. 0-2 against Notre Dame. He's lost to Clemson as well. He threw 4 picks in those 2 games against Florida. Did have 2 rushing touchdowns. It seems Florida State do really well when they are extremely one-dimensional, just running the ball down your throat, and they don't even let Jordan Travis throw more than 15, 16 passes. I think he threw like 15 passes this last game. He was 11 of 15, and he was very effective in the passing game. There was some big plays, some 40, 50-yard catches. They've got like a 6'7" receiver on their team whose name escapes me right now, but there's some danger for this DBU unit. They've got a lot to prove, made up of a lot of transfers and younger guys. There could be some performances that are a little shaky, and we see some rotation there, and we see some different guys rise up that we weren't expecting. LaTerrence Welch, a freshman, Jordan Allen, a freshman. Those are 2 guys that Robert Steeples really likes at DB. So, if Jordan Travis can take advantage of some of the inexperience at DB. Maybe some of that, lack of familiarity. Maybe there's some missed assignments in secondary. If they can isolate linebackers and safeties on, get the right matchups, and then run the ball on LSU, it could be a really, really interesting shoot 'em up game, because I think LSU's offense are going to put up points. But if Florida State can match that and run the ball, that would be Jordan Travis 5.2 yards per rush on his career as well. If he starts running the football in the RPO, that could be really bad. But I don't see Ojulari and Ali Gay succumbing to the rushing attack as they have over the years. Ojulari has really matured, in his tackling over the last 2 years. It's Ali Gay, I feel, is more susceptible in the running game. There were some games where we were absolutely toasted, and they were running right through Ali Gay. Very effective in the passing game, clogs passing lanes with his length, bats the ball down just as much as Derek Stingley did, actually, in 2020, more than Stingley did. But there's sometimes he can be exposed in the running game, as we saw against UCLA last year and a few times in 2020. And that's something that number 11 is going to have to work on. And they're going to have to keep it contained. The DEs are going to have to make some big stops in space because the linebackers are going to have their hands full. It's going to be interesting. I don't think the O-line for Florida State, they're very experienced, Mark. They've got a lot of appearances, but I don't really see too much quality there. I saw Duchesne making a lot of penetration this last week, getting in the backfield a lot. There were some missed tackles, some really woeful missed tackles that they had that I just don't see some of these LSU guys missing. Someone like Jay Ward coming in there with a complete head full of steam, Mike Jones Jr. It's going to be interesting. LSU is going to be tested, and LSU, they need to come out with the right mindset, Mark. They need to treat Florida State like they're playing Alabama. They need to come out there and make a statement. They need to treat every team like they're playing Alabama. Nick Saban's Alabama. Come out like you're playing the supposed national champion of the year with the Heisman, the number one team. Go out there and kick some ass. Make a statement, because there's a target on LSU's back. They're going to get no sympathy from the college football world, and there's a lot of people who want to see Brian Kelly fail. And the pressure is getting hot. The heat is getting more intense, as you saw with Brian Driscoll losing his mind on Crane and Company at Brian Kelly. And so there's a lot of different storylines going on here, a lot of different stuff in the background. And psychologically, you have to win this game as an LSU fan, as an LSU player, as an LSU coach. This game means a lot for the trajectory of this season.